I'm very happy today because we will be joined by one of the veterans of oil and gas industry, Javid Talib, who is serving this industry for last 50 years and also known as FLNG man.
I went to same school from primary to high school, and the primary, it was a very modest school. I used to sit on the floor for first 5 years in the primary, sitting on the mat. By the time you get up in the evening, you have the tattoos on your legs. So it was a very challenging situation, and I think first time I sat on a bench was in the sixth standard, in our school. After graduating from engineering school with a civil engineering degree, I managed to get into the IIT Bombay in Institute of Technology.
This is one of the premier engineering college in India.
There are only 12 FLNGs in the world right now, which are either producing LNG or which are under construction or which are in engineering or for which we have the FID. There are only 12 in the world, so it's just so new.
So it's also unique. Also, I would say.
Yeah, it's a very challenging and very unique. And out of these 12, Black Veatch Preco is on 6 of them. This industry, oil and gas industry, is very close-knit. It is smaller than one realizes. You end up crossing paths with people many times, the same people over the years. So utilizing your network, develop your network, and utilizing your network can significantly improve your chances of success.
This is the Oil and Gas Breaking Bias show, where we are going to invite industry leaders to talk about their journeys and also technologies of tomorrow in an effort to break some of the biases that might have formed around this energy industry. Hello, everyone. I hope you're happy and healthy. I'm Anand Jha, and you are listening to the Oil and Gas Breaking Bias show. This show is about the leaders who have made it big in this industry while breaking some of the biases around them. And I'm very happy today because we will be joined by one of the veterans of oil and gas industry, Javid Talib, who is serving this industry for last 50 years and also known as FLNG man. So we will talk more about his journey. And today, he's the Vice President and Managing Director at Black Veatch, looking after offshore and marine industry business. So with that, let's welcome Javid Talib. Javid, welcome.
Thank you, Anand. Appreciate, first of all, thank you for this opportunity on the podcast. And actually, I'm impressed with the great service you started and doing it for the listeners. And I'm glad to be part of this journey. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining, because before this recording, we were talking about, there's a lot to learn from you. The 50 years is a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very hard to sum 50 years in few minutes, but I'll try my best.
And definitely. And I'm looking forward to hear about your story so we can all learn from it. So without any further delay, I will say, please share your journey and also share if some of the biases that you might have experienced and how you came overcome. So we can all learn from it to shape our career and business in this energy industry.
Sure. Okay. So as I said, it will be hard to cover everything, but let me start with my education from the schooling, basically. I came from a very small town. I did go to a school where my class was 25 the most, and I went to same school from primary to high school. And the primary, it was a very modest school. I used to sit on the floor for first 5 years in the primary, sitting on the mat. By the time you get up in the evening, you have the tattoos on your legs on the mat. So it was a very challenging situation, and I think first time I sat on a bench was in the sixth standard, in our school. Anyway, so I graduated from high school, from this small high school, in 1967. And then moved to a bigger city called Aurangabad, and where my dad and mom were moved. So I went to school there, engineering school there in Aurangabad, and graduated in civil engineering with a structural dynamics as my concentration on this. After graduating from engineering school with a civil engineering degree, I managed to get into the IIT Bombay Institute of Technology, which you're maybe familiar, your viewers may be familiar.
I know. Just stop you there. Definitely. Like we all Indian familiar with IIT. So, like if you don't know, this is one of the premier engineering college in
Yes.
India.
Right. So I managed to get into the IIT for my master's program in structural engineering, and I think I got out of the IIT 1974. And through that, as you know, in our IIT, you have the campus interviews and the campus recruiting by the top, companies who come to the campus. So one of the company, Tara Consulting Engineers, they recruited me and invited me to join their office in Bangalore. Even 6 months even before I graduated, that they asked me to come in Bangalore. So after I graduated with this master's degree, 74, I worked for Tata Consulting Engineers for maybe 2.5 to 3 years in Bangalore, doing civil engineering and structural designs on paper plants and other things. But then I got an opportunity in 1977 at New Delhi with EIL, which is Engineers India Limited, and their Ocean Engineering Group, which was leading actually India's first offshore and oil gas production development. I was introduced and recruited by Dr. Malhotra, who's the head of that group. He is a PhD from Berkeley, but he chose to work in India and head this group, this development. And he showed me this exclusive oil and gas offshore work, pioneering team of India offshore development. And I worked there for 5 years, and that was my first exposure to the offshore industry. Then from there, one of my contractor, which was Hyundai Heavy Industries, the Hyundai Heavy Industries actually tried to recruit me and asked me to work for them. And I decided to jump to the contractor side from the engineers and consultant and owner side. So I joined them in Houston, worked for a year or two. Then they asked me to come to Korea and work in their shipyard in Korea and help them develop their own offshore engineering group in Korea. I believe I spent about 3.5 to 4 years in Korea working with them, working on different offshore projects, helping them develop their division, as well as doing the project management type of work with the clients and contractors, subcontractors. But then in 1989, I finally decided to migrate to US. And because of my, immigration and green cards and other things that came through. And so I said the opportunity, and me and my wife, I followed my wife, she's a doctor, and she did the training in the Kansas University. And that's where I came to Kansas City. So from Ulsan, Korea, I directly came to Kansas. And looking at Kansas, I was looking for an oil and gas type of company. There is, of course, no offshore in Kansas. So,
Yes.
So I looked at a Pritchard company, which was doing an oil and gas. So I got introduced into Pritchard, and believe it or not, next day I was working with Pritchard. And that was the only company I interviewed in US, and that's the only company I am right now. Pritchard
And I
became
know
the...
it's 35 years.
Yeah,
It's a
35
long
years.
journey.
Yeah, I came in 89. I joined them in 89, and Pritchard became the Black and Veatch, and the Black and Veatch owned them, bought them.
It's amazing.
So 35 years now. In 35 years, then I transitioned into project engineering. When I joined Pritchard, I didn't join in a civil or structural department, and that's where I left structural engineering. Said goodbye to structural engineering, and then I pivoted to a project engineering role. And to also improve my skill set, I decided to do some business program at University of Kansas and did my MBA there part-time, working with Pritchard, and got the MBA in 1993. And Pritchard, moving on into seller dual roles of Pritchard for new petrochemical projects, and then to LNG in 1998. Then executed a small LNG project as an EPC project. That was the first LNG EPC project for Black and Veatch.
That was Preco.
Preco, using Preco technology. Preco, Black and Veatch owns a technology, liquefaction technology called Preco. And with that technology, that was the first project we did, EPC project. And I got very fascinated with the technology and the LNG business. So I decided to continue working in LNG business, and then looking at scaling up that small scale applications which I did as a project manager. I did that project, very successful project, and then I decided to help scaling up into a mid scale. We call it small scale and mid scale, and the base load. There are three categories. So on the mid scale, I was looking at transferring this small scale to mid scale. The floating LNG business was just coming up, bloom started. First was the Petronas or Shell Prelude FLNG, and then the Flex LNG was actually the pioneer first. Tried to do FLNG. They didn't go far enough, but they started the FLNG. So when they were looking at FLNG and I was looking at upscaling, and I saw the perfect fit of mid-scale to the floating LNG business, LNG configuration. So I said, this is a nice match. So instead of doing an onshore mid-scale development, I tried to move into directly put it on the floaters, floating LNG. So at that point, I had to do a lot of convincing internally as well as externally.
There's always a fight.
Yeah, I mean, but sitting in Kansas talking about offshore floating LNG,
Okay, definitely.
it's something totally new. But we were able to convince. I had a team working with me. We were able to convince our management to allow us to go ahead and offer Preco technology for floating LNG applications, and we did that one. And then, came a couple of projects, Accelerate, Golar, FLNG, and it's then history. After that, we really developed that FLNG program in Black Veatch. And now, believe it or not, we have the majority of the floating LNG share in the world for Preco application. There are only 12 FLNGs in the world right now, which are either producing LNG or which are under construction, or which are in engineering, or for which we have the FID, financial investment decision. There are only 12 in the world, so it's just so new.
So it's also unique. Also, I would say.
Yeah, this is a very challenging and very unique. And then out of these 12, Black Veatch Preco is on 6 of them. Yeah, and
big market share.
Big market,
and market share.
Yeah, and this is based on the number of vessels. But if you really look at the other technologies in the world available versus the Preco technology, if you took the 6 applications here, but then other 6 each has 1 or 2 different technologies. So if you consider the capacities out of those technologies and Preco's 6 applications, we are 14.8 MTPA. We'll be producing from our technology, whereas the other technologies are at 3.4 or 3.8. So there is 3 or 4 times difference between any technology and Preco technology. So this is a very happy situation, and we are in a good position right now.
And I could say this is a fascinating time because there's lots of demand for LNG. LNG is liquefied natural gas, and when we say floating is a floating vessel which produces liquefied natural gas. So there's lots of demand for energy, and natural gas considered as a transition fuel, where LNG is going to play a big part. And as we know, there are lots of projects are announced in a different part of the world where they're looking for onshore and offshore.
Yeah, surely, FLNG primarily it started for monetizing the standard offshore gas far back in the sea, where it is not possible to pipe the gas all the way to shore because of the distance as well as because of the deep water. So the floating LNG was thought to be the solution to bring the vessel and liquefy the gas on the spot and offshore. And then, you can transfer the liquid easily than the gas. Only pipeline can be transported. So you can convert it into liquid and ship it to the other places from point A to point B. So that was the original application. But then later on, industry thought that this is a good option to an onshore application. It's a good option to instead of putting a fixed asset on the ground in onshore, develop the whole field and subject that to construction and labor availability, productivity, all those things. It's better to just construct on a floating vessels, which is done in a floating environment, in a manufacturing environment, in a shipyard, and bring it to the shore and moor it to the shore or jetty, and then use it as an alternate. And this is becoming more and more.
Well, I could say that it's because it's an attractive option.
Very attractive option.
And also, one thing I would like to add, there are some projects in Canada where these projects are also driven by the environmental requirements.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. So these are in Canada also, it's very difficult to get permitting for an onshore or for a project on the coastal side. Most of the coastal sides are like on the west coast, it's all owned by First Nations. And then if you have to think of putting an onshore plant, there are a lot of resistance on disturbing the ground and as you said, environmental issues. So they are very attracted with the floating LNG because then the disturbance on the ground is much less.
Yes.
And they're opting to that one. And there are one or two projects. The Cedar LNG, we are doing it. Then
Yes.
there's Western LNG, which is coming up. So all these projects are going to be floating LNG.
That's amazing time. The energy industry it's bringing new ideas, new innovations, and that's
Yes.
what I discuss in most of our interview. Like people think this industry is done. There's nothing new to bring, and I think yeah,
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 this is just the beginning for us.
like even with 50 years of experience, if you are saying it's beginning, then it's amazing time. I think we are going to have going forward.
Yeah, that is exactly what, one of the reporter was asking me for trade winds, and there is many questions in the industry, you know, when I'm retiring. So I think that article was published here, and it really responded to the questions why I'm still interested because it is so fascinating, so new,
And every
and
time it brings new challenge.
exactly. So why should I just walk away from this?
Amazing. I will come back to your journey
Uh-huh,
in a minute, but let's talk about this industry transition because you
uh-huh,
already said that there are lots of things are happening in this industry.
uh-huh.
What are the key changes do you see today, and where this industry is moving towards?
Yeah, there have been a lot of ups and downs over decades, in oil and gas industry. I talk in decades, okay?
Yes.
And lately, while there is a need to protect the environment,
Yes.
that took place the front seat for some time, and resulting in the perceived notion that oil and gas is going to go away,
Yes.
and it will be replaced by renewables.
And we are listening this thing from last many years. Like I don't know how many
Exactly. Yeah.
decades.
And not even that, there's a perceived notion that it will be replaced. And not even that, many service providers and companies have deviated away and stopped participating in oil industry.
Hmm.
And many services have been stopped. And then you will also be surprised that even some of the companies have changed their names and added energies instead of oil and gas.
That's a new trend in the
That's
market.
a new trend, just to be politically correct or
You're
to
right.
give an image that we are environmental
Yes.
conscious and we are serving that. But to me, I mean, the oil may decline, but the gas, there is a nexus between natural gas and renewables. And gas is considered, as you may have heard many times, it's a transitional fuel. This transition is going to be a very long transition.
No,
Okay.
long transition.
Yeah, but both will coexist for quite some time, at least my lifetime, your lifetime, we will see both will be coexisting. Natural gas is not going to go away.
No, definitely, definitely, and that's bringing new opportunities for someone.
Exactly. So this transition is helping, providing opportunities for innovations and professional growth for many people. Uh-huh.
Definitely, and so if somebody is listening, this is the key here. This industry is not going anywhere. If you are in the industry, you continue now because this industry has a lot to offer.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. One more thing I just want to point out, that oil and gas has actually given the world a lot, improving our quality of life,
Uh-huh.
enabling the production of many consumer goods. You
Yes,
can imagine, everything is coming from, oil and gas
oil and gas.
background.
Yes,
Yeah. So transportation, everything, they're all intertwined into the aspects of our daily lives.
definitely. And sometimes we don't even think that the things that we are using on day-to-day basis is
Yeah.
based on oil and gas only.
Yeah, and it will continue. You can't, unless people start throwing away everything and adopt totally new things, that may not be in near future.
That's not possible.
Yeah.
We can continue on this theme, but I'm coming back to your journey, and that is very fascinating. Like how you said you started in small village,
Yeah.
and then your first job, and then Korea and the US. How was that transition for you and your family?
It was challenging. It was challenging. Even when I moved into the offshore world working in Delhi, again, the offshore thing was totally new to India. I mean, this is a bunch of few people in EIL Delhi helping ONGC to develop offshore. There's a very small group. And we relied upon a lot of foreign help and foreign consultants and other things, to help us develop our own engineering capabilities to help Oil and Gas Natural Commission, ONG.
And that time, India was also closed economy.
Yeah, it was very close economy, and the reason India decided to go for offshore development was, as you know, India, the foreign exchange was very limited those days. The foreign exchange required for development of other areas in India, required to, acquire things from foreign. The foreign exchange reserve was very small, and India was spending a lot of foreign exchange in importing oil.
Mhm.
And it was at a point where 70-80% of the foreign exchange reserves in India were going towards importing oil. So that left very little for any other development in India. So the government and the intelligent people there decided to develop our own offshore oil, production. And the offshore was one of the thing which was possible. The offshore industry development was based on saving foreign exchange for India. That was the purpose.
Mm.
And then
Okay,
at the same time,
that was a motive.
supplying. That was the motivation. That was the motivation. So that's how for the offshore industry in India got developed, and got the boost.
And we talk about the challenges, like you and as a family going through
Yeah.
different countries.
So when, as I was telling, when I got introduced to offshore, and then the offshore, world was so different that, you are always working globally. You're always working with the contractors, working outside from US, from Japan, from Korea, and you're always traveling. So it was very challenging for the family, especially when you started having kids and children of your own. It was very challenging, and I was almost out half of the year every year,
That's
somewhere
all.
in the world, either in Japan, Korea, Dubai, or US, a couple of times. So it was very challenging, but that lure for offshore was overcoming every challenge, and I stayed in offshore, and going to the Korean company actually hired me to come and work for them in Houston. So that was good. I said, okay, we'll go. So everybody moved here. But then they decided they asked me to help them in Korea. And that was a big challenge because
Yeah. Now again, you have
it's
to move to Korea.
Korea. So we moved to Korea. Then, after 3-4 years, then finally I said, it's too much. Kids are, growing, and they need the,
Stability.
consistency in schooling, stability, and all those things. So we decided to move. But this is very interesting incidents here. When I came from Korea to Kansas City and went for an interview with the Pritchard company, the CEO, looked at my thing and he says, "Yeah, Javed, we have a right project for you. We have a project in Malaysia, which is Procter and Gamble.
Now you go back
We,
again.
yeah, so we want you to take that one because you come from that world, so you know that world." And I said, "No way,
I'm not.
yes, no way. I mean, this is the reality of our world, And so I said, "No way, sir." And he thought for maybe 30 seconds. "Oh, no, no, you come and join us. We'll find some other things for you."
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was very funny. It really happened. I mean, that's what I told him. I said, "Wait a minute. I have not
Definitely
come
will
from
be.
that part of the world to go back to that part of the world."
Definitely. Like the first company you're interviewing, they're telling you to go back again, again to Southeast Asia where you came
Exactly.
from.
Exactly.
Did you learn any Korean there?
Yes, a little bit Korean. I can understand some, I can speak some, and I can write some.
Oh,
You know,
that's
I don't have the vocabulary or grammar, but I can read anything in Korean.
that's
And I
that's
can,
good.
if you ask me to write, I'll write everything. But don't have I didn't have a structured way of learning. That's my regret.
But that's the beauty of global roles that can take a toll on you. But on the other side, you learn about lots of
Oh,
cultures,
oh
people,
yeah.
language, food,
Mhm.
and that all help you to grow as a professional and also as a person.
Yeah, and
Any point of view on that one, Javed?
I will definitely advise every, professional to seek an opportunity overseas. And I'll come to that one after
Yes.
later on. But yes, definitely one needs to open their horizon, and look beyond where they are.
Makes sense.
And yeah,
No, no, that's good. So now you already had a very interesting journey. We already talked about. But if you are given opportunity to relive your journey or rewrite your own story, what that would be?
come on. I have made three big changes in my career already. You know, you know, from graduating as a civil engineer, moving to the structural engineering world of offshore industry, then changing everything to floating LNG and offshore. And now I'm selling technology and I'm promoting, totally different thing, far cry from civil engineering. So I have pivoted so many times in the life that I don't know if I can make any more changes, But but my advice is again, I mean, you should be ready to make it to pivot.
Makes sense. And one thing you already highlighted, like you started somewhere, like as civil engineering, but over the journey, you have changed your role, you have changed your scope, you have changed your work.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes we all have a fear, like we are always in a comfort zone and we don't want to come out of that comfort zone. Have you faced that kind of feeling or the bias about yourself?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I was fortunate enough to have the courage to get out of my comfort zone and try different things. It's a cliche that you need to get out of your comfort zone if you
Yes.
and challenge yourself if you really want to learn
It's
something.
easy to say, but it's hard to done.
This is hard to do that, but you can do it. You can do it if the only thing is that you have to work hard. The problem sometimes is that people expect instant gratification, instant rewards. You work hard today and you expect that the rewards will be tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes.
It's not like that. You have to have patience. You have to just continue working hard. And as I said to you and my children, hard work always pays. It's just a
Yes.
matter of time. Exactly. And even my children, as soon as I told them so many times that as soon as I start my mouth and saying hard work, yeah, daddy, hard work always pays, and it's a matter of time. And they complete my sentence. It's to that extent, that's
But that never changes. Like hard work, we all learned about it. Hard work definitely pays in the long run.
yeah,
Yeah.
and also somebody said, and I had written down some of the course, and I don't know where I read this one, but they said that focusing. I can read that one somewhere. I have written that focusing on the negative aspects of your job can be draining and impact your overall productivity and sense of self-worth. So
Yes.
instead of complaining or dwelling on the situation, it is important to take steps towards finding a new opportunity that aligns with your career goals and with your values.
I
So
fully
be
agree.
ready for that.
I fully agree. I fully agree. And we discussed about this topic in one of our previous episodes.
Hmm.
Yes, it's good to be inspired, like, if you want to grow in your career, if you want to do anything different. But it doesn't mean you have to stop doing what you are doing today. Yeah,
Hmm.
like that's the mistake. Like sometimes we make because we go in that kind of zone. Like, okay, I'm looking for something and nothing is happening. We drop all the tools and we try to disconnect from the work. But it goes other way around because if you
Yeah.
do your job perfectly, if you do with more motivation, that
Hmm.
will help you to grow as a person, and that will open new opportunities for you.
Exactly. Exactly. And there will be disruptions, there will be distractions, disruptions, but you have to take that as an opportunity, as
Yes,
not a problem.
not a problem. Don't go in that
You,
victim
yeah,
mode.
exactly. Take that opportunity and deal with it. And
No,
that's what we are doing it in our world also in the professional, you know, any project, any challenges comes, technical challenges come, you take the challenge and you solve the problem. You don't want to run away from those challenges.
definitely. And on this thing, how's your life with your grandchildren now? So we're talking about kids.
Yeah. I have 4 grandchildren, 8, 7, and 2 and 2 months. So, and they're all in New York, and that's why you'll find me in New York more often. But yeah,
You were
it's
there
just
recently, I think, a few weeks ago when we connected. Yeah.
yeah, I was in New York. I go almost every month there. It's fun at times, looking at my career and the time spent in the industry. Sometimes I feel like what I'm doing, I should be with my grandkids. But considering what I'm doing, in the industry, and there's a lot more to do, I feel that if I am able to contribute to the industry, even now, I should continue.
That make perfect sense. Like we all, as I said, like with your experience, we all learn from it. So you should continue. Now, whenever I meet you, and I always learn from you. So I will
Yes.
say you continue for many more decades to come.
Oh, not decades. I now stop talking in terms of decades, But
Uh,
but it's still as long as I contribute, as long as I'm helping, I'll work.
that's great. I think we have already touched this topic, but I will ask you one more time. What will be one key takeaway for someone who's trying to make a big in this industry? We already talked about a few things, but if you have to summarize just as a one suggestion, what that would be?
Again, I think I saw you in some of your other episodes, that you talked about biases in the industry in terms of the challenge changes.
Yes.
People are hesitant to adapt actually changes, right? But you have to be resilient. You have to be amicable to adapt changes. And the cliche is that the only constant thing is a change. And
Definitely.
that's true, very true in the industry. So don't be afraid of change. Adapt it and use it to your advantage. And for example, I'll tell you, we were talking about FLNG. When I was trying to adopt this onshore technology for offshore application, there was significant skepticism that it's not going to work. It's not going to work in the industry as well, internally as well as externally, regarding marinization and other things. But we did overcome that one, and look at that where we are.
Definitely. Definitely. So again, it's going back like to believing in your idea, working on it, and
Mhm.
coming out of comfort zone, and then only you can break biases or
Exactly.
stereotype that might have
Exactly.
created. There's
Exactly.
nobody else will come and do it for you.
No.
So I think it goes both ways. So we talked about the self bias. Sometimes you don't have that enough confidence to go out of your comfort zone, but also the stereotypes around you. Like in this case, as you mentioned, within your company, people were not believing this can be done.
Yeah, initially because it was something new. There has to be a lot of, education from each side. And once you learn, once you know that it is doable, yeah,
Definitely.
it's a history now than we have in the industry right now.
That's great.
Hmm.
And the last, not the least, what one bias that exists in the industry today, and how can we overcome? Let me ask.
No, that's what I was saying. One bias is the change. That's what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
That we do have to overcome the change, and there's always going to be change, and
Always going to be changed. Okay.
you have to be able to adapt it. But there's other thing I want to just say in the end, that this industry, oil and gas industry, is very close knit, you know,
Mhm.
and it is smaller than one realizes. You end up crossing paths with people many times, the same people over the years. So utilizing your network, develop your network, and utilizing your network can significantly improve your chances of success. Use the social media like LinkedIn. We all use LinkedIn to expand your network and influence. It's not just taking it. You have to contribute to also,
You have
just
to
like you are
contribute. Yeah.
contributing.
Yep.
Yeah. So you expand your network and influence people. But at the same time, don't depend totally on the social media. Get out and meet people.
And that's really good because sometimes you think my job is done. Like, I'm connected with that person. It's not
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, yeah. But the social media has allowed us to expand exponentially. You
Yeah.
know, like if I was not in LinkedIn, if I had not had 4,000, 5,000 people following me, I would be limited to just people I meet and I know.
Definitely. Definitely. Things
So
have changed a lot.
things
Yes.
have changed a lot. And
Things have.
use it to your advantage.
I think so. And also another thing, like when you are developing a network, is also important what value you're bringing to someone to whom you're going to reach out. Also think from that perspective.
Exactly. That's what I said, that you
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
also think about how you influence others, how
How
you,
young is
yeah,
definitely.
impart. So it's not just one way; it's just both ways.
That's great. So we can talk about your journey hours and hours.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
But I know you have a very tight schedule, so I won't hold you back. But I'll say, like, I really enjoyed all the conversation, and we have a lot to learn, and we'll continue maybe coming years. And I hope you're still working in coming years, and we can touch base again to talk about this industry, your life, and your journey, what changes you might see in that industry at that time. But before we sign off, anything to add here? Anything for our listeners before we sign off for this week?
No, at least I mean, as I just said, that you develop your own network and influence the network and participate and contribute to others, just like you are doing. I mean, I'm very impressed what you're doing, Anand, and I'm happy to get this opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you so much. So here,
And
here I'm trying to spread some positivity around this industry, and also bringing people like Javid, so we can all see what he has done, and we can do the same thing in our life and career. So with that, I will stop. I will sign off for this week. Keep listening. Oil and Gas Breaking By Show. We'll connect again next week. Thank you very much. Take care.
thank you.